All right. Aloha, mai kako. Good morning. Ohayou gozaimasu, everybody. Looks like here, this is the meeting of the March 7th, 2023 Land Use Commission meeting. This is a hybrid meeting, which is physically being held at the Leopapa a Kamehameha State Office Tower, room 405, 235 South Beretania Street in Honolulu, and it's open to the public. Court reporting transcripts are being done from this Zoom recording. For all meeting participants, I would like to stress the importance of speaking slowly, clearly, and directly into your microphone. Before speaking, please state your name and identify yourself for the record. This is a hybrid meeting. Please be aware that all meeting participants are being recorded on the digital record of this Zoom meeting, which will be posted to YouTube and used for court reporting purposes. Your continued participation is your implied consent to be part of the public record of this event. You do not wish to be part of the public record, you should exit the meeting now. Also, please note that due to matters entirely out of our control, occasional disruptions to connectivity may occur for one or more members of the meeting at any given time. If such disruptions occur, please let us know and we'll be patient and try to restore audio-visual signals to effectively conduct business. Please note that the Q&A feature or question and answer feature on Zoom will only be monitored for signing up for public testimony. All other communications will not be addressed or part of the meeting record. Communications can be emailed to our email address. It's dbet.luc.wed@hawaii.gov. I will also share with you that we will be taking breaks from time to time, and perhaps if we go to lunch, a longer break for lunch. My name is Lee Ohigashi, and it says here on my script that I have the pleasure, but I have the duty to serve as LUC first vice chair. We'll concurrently have 9 seated commissioners. Along with me are Commissioners Gary Okuda, wave when you see, Mel Kahele, Kuiki Keo Kalani, Kuiki Kamakea Ohelo, that we will be calling Kuiki from now on, this broadcast, George Atta, Michael Yamani, Brian Lee, Nancy Carr-Smith, and the guy who made me do this today is excused. Dan Giovanni is excused from this meeting. Also in attendance are LUC Executive Officer Daniel Ordenecker, LUC Chief Planner Scott Derrickson, LUC Staff Planner Martina Segura, LUC Chief Clerk Ariana Kwan, and LUC Attorney General Dan Morris. Again, court reporting transcripts are being done from this Zoom recording. Are there any questions? Seeing none, move to the next item on the agenda, which is the adoption of minutes. Our first order of business is to adopt the February 7th, 2024 minutes. Is there any motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we approve the minutes of February 7th, 2024.
Okay, it's been moved. However, before we receive a second, I forgot to ask whether Ms. Kwan, has there been any written testimony submitted on the February 7th, 2024 minutes?
No, Mr. Chair.
Are there any members of the public who signed up to testify on the adoption of the February 7th, 2024 minutes?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Seeing none, we have a motion made by Commissioner Yamane, is there a second?
Chair Squeaky, second.
Second by Kuike, Commissioner Kuike. That we adopt the minutes of February 7, 2024. All in favor of adoption of the minutes? Say aye.
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 Chair Ohigashi, this is Commissioner Lee. I'm going to abstain since I was not present at the last meeting.
All right. I'll grant you that. Anybody opposed? Okay, the minutes are adopted. Thank you. Mr. Ordenker, what's next?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will go through the proposed meeting schedule in just a moment, but before I do, I'd like to ask the attorneys general who work for.
I don't think we can hear him very well.
Okay, I would like the ask the attorneys general.
Mr. Ordenker, Mr. Ordenker, you forgot my instructions. You have to speak directly into the mic and louder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I begin my presentation on the tentative meeting schedule, I would like to ask the attorneys and attorneys general who are representing the Land Use Commission on agenda item number 5 to identify themselves for the record.
Hi, everyone. Dave Day. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Dave Day, I'm the Special Assistant to the Attorney General.
Good morning, Kira Kahahane, Deputy Attorney General.
Good morning, Sharon Lovejoy. I'm outside counsel, retained by the AG's office for the particular case. I'm with Starno, Tool, Marcus, and Fisher.
Thank you. The tentative meeting schedule is as follows. March 20th and 21st, we do not have anything currently scheduled. April 3rd and 4th, we will be on Oahu for the Halekua Development Status Report on April 3rd, and April 4th, we will also be on Oahu for the Halekua Development Motion to amend. April 17th and 18th is currently open. However, that may change. On May 20th, on May 2024, on the 8th of May, we will be having a status report on Maui from AMFAC HHFDC. On May 21st and 22nd, we will be on Oahu for the Waimanalo Gulch matter. On June 5th and 6th, we will hold hearings on June 5th, Waimanalo Gulch if necessary, and on June 6th, an update on the proposed rule amendments. On June 19th, we will be on Maui for the Central Maui Landfill Status Report, and on the 20th, we will be getting a status report from DHHC. We are tentatively scheduling commissioner training for July 10th and 11th. That I point out again that that's tentative, but we are intending to do some kind of training in July or August. On July 24th, we have tentatively scheduled a status report from Emmanuel Lutheran. And August currently is open, although our understanding is that we'll be having a couple of SPs submitted that may take up those meeting dates. On September 11th and 12th and 13th is HCPO, and that takes us through to October.
Finish. Thank you, Mr. Executive Director. Commissioners, do you have any questions? All right, hearing none. Our next order of business is the postponement of proposed administrative rules. Ms. Ariana, are there any members of the public who wish to provide testimony? This matter?
We received one written testimony and it's been posted to the website, and we do have one person in the room who would like to give testimony on the matter.
Okay. And
He's
I guess-
taking the chair now.
can you please state your name?
Thank you, Land Use Commission. My name is Travis Hishinuma. I'm a Honolulu resident and current student at the Richardson School of Law.
Okay. And is it okay if I swear you in?
Yes,
Can you raise your hand and say, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I swear.
And we have allotted 2 minutes for your testimony. Could you
Yes.
please begin and tell us
Okay.
if you represent anybody or
I'm here on behalf of myself. I had submitted a written testimony and I stand by what I have submitted, but I would also like to add that, I guess, propose a way for the rules to be amended that would be in compliance with current Hawaii law. I'm not an expert on this matter, and I've only done like preliminary research, but the trend seems to be with the Hawaii Supreme Court that for the automatic approval of any permits under HRS 91-13.5, it seems that they would allow delay of that automatic approval if the petitioner for that permit was given notice and would consent to the delay of the automatic process. So if you could maybe take that into consideration while considering the amendments to the proposed rules. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Are there any comments or questions that the commissioners may have with this individual? Gary, Commissioner Okuda, is that you?
Yes, it is, Mr. Acting Chair.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming to testify. Just so that people who might be just tuning in to the Zoom call, but for whatever reason have not read your written testimony, can you summarize what your main point or points are in maybe 1 minute?
Sure. So I'm in support of postponing the amendment of the rules because there is concern about the language that is being used. I think Mr. Chip Chase had went to the previous public meeting or the first public hearing for the amendment rules, and he had brought up concerns about due process and abuse of admin powers, which I do agree with. And I just want the commission to basically take more time in crafting better language that would be consistent with current Hawaii admin rules.
Can you just give a short example of what type of improvement in language you would suggest? Just as an example.
So for example, one of the provisions says that if a permit is automatically approved under HRS 91-13.5, that permit would have to go to, I believe it was the one of the boards for water use to get approval for that permit in order to be quote unquote officially approved. So that is inconsistent with the Hawaii legislator's intent for the statute, which was to give permit applicants a way to have, I guess, a way to get finality on whether their permit would be approved or not, and then would put the burden on any agency to timely either approve or disapprove of their permit, which is why they give that if nothing is done under 45 within 45 days, that the permit would automatically be approved. So the way that the amended rules have been drafted would put a condition when that permit is automatically approved, which would probably be contested in future litigations.
Okay, do you know of any legal authority which would render the rule or the proposed rule, which requires, for example, approval by the Water Commission? Are you aware of any legal authority which would render the rule invalid? Specific legal authority, like can you cite the statute or a case?
So there is a case of Kauai Springs case versus the city and county of Kauai, I think. I cited it within my written testimony, so you can look at that. But that case was about one of the businesses. Their permits were automatically approved under that statute, but the city and county of Kauai had kind of said that no, it's not automatically approved because your conduct within this case had implied that you had accepted a delay of approval under HRS 91-30.5. So it's not really, I guess, similar to what I had proposed, but it's a contention that or they had said that it would be okay for applicant to be notified that there are certain conditions to where even if your permit is approved under 91-13.5, that you must, consent to that delay of that automatic approval. So I was just voicing my concern that the way that the amended rules was drafted, it seems that the commission is not looking for any consent to the condition. It seems like if your permit is automatically approved, that this condition attaches without any input from the applicant.
Okay, I see. You raise a very good point about due process and an opportunity to be heard. But real fast last questions. But would you agree or disagree that Kauai Springs basically stands for the fact that government agencies have a public trust duty over certain resources such as water?
I would agree with that statement, yes.
And would you agree or disagree that one of the holdings in Kauai Springs is where a government agency does not exercise its trust obligations, that can render the decision invalid?
I would agree with that, yes.
And would you agree or disagree that one of the trust obligations that government agency has or have is to protect water resources?
I would agree with that.
And in fact, since all title traces back to Kamehameha III as part of the Great Mahele, and the king set up the Hawaiian legal system based on American law, we in Hawaii, holders of title, we only get, or we can't get more than what the king deeded out originally in the Mahele. Would you agree with that?
I'm not familiar with Hawaiian history, so I would defer to your expertise.
Well, would you agree or disagree, or you have no opinion that Kamehameha III, as part of the Mahele, never deeded out title to water?
So like I said, I'm not familiar with Hawaiian history, so I would just defer to other expert opinions on that matter.
Yeah. If the evidence shows that King Kamehameha III and the Land Commission through the Mahele did not deed out title to water, either at the time of the Mahele or any time thereafter, would you agree or disagree or have no opinion that that would be evidence that indicates that the state of Hawaii's trust obligation regarding water may in fact be at a higher level than other resources where private title was in fact deeded out and vested?
If the evidence does show that, then I would agree with that.
Okay, and just for way of background, what year are you at Richardson Law School?
I'm a 3L and I'm graduating this May.
Oh, okay. You know, thank you for coming here to testify. You know, I think the fact that you're here to testify shows the foresight of people like former Chief Justice William Richardson of setting up the local law school. So thank you very much for taking your time to testify. Mr. Chair, I have no further questions.
Are there any other commissioners who have any? I don't have any questions, so thank you for your testimony.
Thank you very
And
much, Commissioner.
good luck. All right. Are there any other witnesses who care to testify? And indicated.
Nobody else in the room, and nobody signed up using the Q&A on the Zoom.
Okay, Mr. Executive Director, I think you should begin your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My presentation is extremely brief. We've decided to postpone further work on the rules because there are a number of bills that are currently moving through the legislature that specifically require that the LUC draft rules to conform with those measures. There HB 1542 relating to land use, which allows the counties to do DBA to rural via declaratory ruling process under certain circumstances. HB 1923, which allows overnight camping in the agricultural district. HB 2146 permits agricultural tourism and requires the LUC to promulgate rules. HB 2505, which creates fines for violating Chapter 205. And HB 1599, which concerns information on how to testify electronically, and SB 3159 relating to contested cases. Given the number of rules, measures that would require rule changes, we have decided or are requesting that we be allowed to postpone rulemaking until sometime in June. For the Commission's knowledge, we have met with OPSD, the counties, and various private sector and interested parties, including Cal Chip Chase, who was mentioned earlier, and already incorporated those comments into our current draft of the rules, which is not up on the website yet, but because we're still working on it, but should be up soon. So if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Are there any questions for the Executive Director? Commissioner Lee?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I had a question for Mr. Orodenker. You mentioned some of the bills that were up, and I noticed that you testified on certain bills, and I just wanted to see what everyone thought, because it's not clear when I see the testimony if you are speaking for yourself or on behalf of the entire commission. And I kind of have some concerns on that. I think it'd be better if you didn't get any message or consensus from the board or discussion, that it should be clear that your testimony is your testimony and that it doesn't represent any decisions from the board. So I just wanted to put that out there and see if other people have any thoughts. I know it's a matter of expediency sometimes. It's not really possible to bring all the bills to the board and have us vote on them or discuss them. But some other boards, some other state boards do that, or they have a legislative committee chair, which I don't think that would work here. But they do have the executive director or the administrator say that they haven't consulted with the board yet, or this is how they feel. So I just wanted to see how you thought would be the best approach on that.
Commissioner, that hasn't been the practice of the Land Use Commission with regard to testimony. We have had legislative committees in the past, but what often happens is that we don't get a bill is moving through the legislature and we don't get the latest draft of the bill until a couple of days before the hearing is set to be scheduled. And all of a sudden, the bill that we had no interest in has something that involves the Land Use Commission. Generally, we have not been testifying in opposition to any bills. We've been offering suggestions for amendments or testifying in support. I'm not sure how to handle that particular situation. I haven't heard any boards or commissions that don't authorize staff, state boards or commissions that don't authorize staff to testify on various measures. There is also a committee in the governor's office that sometimes instructs us as to what our position should be. So there are a lot of moving parts. So maybe this warrants further discussion, but I'm not sure how to handle that particular situation.
Okay, thanks. I understand the concern, because I bring this up because there are, and I understand the governor's office, leaning and advising people to administrators or to support one bill or another. But there are many other boards that make it clear that when someone is testifying, they're testifying for themselves, and that they did not get that support or opposition as being representative of the entire commission, that there was a vote or any discussion. For example, Contractors License Board or HCDA, the administrator or the executive director will say, I'm testifying on my behalf as the executive director, but I haven't consulted or we've not discussed this at the board level yet. We'll do that next month or so forth. So,
Commissioner Lee, I think that this is a discussion that goes outside the agendized item in this proper manner. Maybe we should agendize a matter to discuss this on properly agendize a matter to discuss this more fully. And I don't expect that to be as part of the. I don't think that. I think that will be a fruitful discussion. However, at this time, I think that we should move on these particular amendments and discuss your issue with that matter on.
Okay, how would we do that? Because certain boards will even list the bills, and even there's sunshine law that applies to this. The bills that would be discussed at future agenda meetings specifically. before it's properly agendized. And I bring this up because there was testimony about the multiple lots, multiple houses on single lots. And I saw that the Land Use Commission testified in support of that, but it's not clear. It represents that we all agreed to this to many observers. So I appreciate what you're saying, and I look forward to that future discussion.
And I'm not saying that that discussion shouldn't take place soon, or that that discussion can't take place between you and the executive director in order to try and map out a policy. And I would hope that Commissioner Lee, that you would speak directly to the executive director and deal with it. I don't think that violates any sunshine law, and try and bring this matter to our attention and discuss ways we can do that. Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think it would be clear if testimony, until we do that, and I'll have that discussion, but that any position is that of the executive director and not necessarily that of the entire board. Thank you.
I understand, but I think that I don't want to be the lawyer for the LUC at this point in time, but I'm just concerned that we have an agendized matter to postpone a certain matter, and rather than take that issue up and have the board discuss it, it would be outside of the scope of our agenda. So I don't want to make any violations of my first attempt to be an acting chair. So I would suggest that you discuss that with Mr. our executive director, and he and you can figure out when is the best time to have the commission meet and discuss this matter as soon as, hopefully before the end of the legislative session or before any more testimony occurs. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Are there any more questions that the commissioners may have of the executive director? Hearing none, does this require an action on the part of the commission, a motion to postpone, or can we just do it?
I don't believe it requires any formal vote, Mr. Chair. I think it's more of staff informing the commission as to what their position is.
So seeing that hearing that, I'd like to move to the next agenda item, which would be just a minute. Do we have any additional testifiers on this particular issue?
No, Mr. Chair.
I think that's I think I have to do a second sweep. Yeah. So with that, what we would move to is the fifth action on our order of business, and it is a request for executive session to discuss our next agenda item. And I would like, I don't have the agenda items. What's the next agenda item? The topic, Mr. Executive Director.
The next agenda item is to consult with the commission's attorney regarding issues pertaining to the commission's powers, duties, and privileges, immunities, and liabilities pertaining to civil number 117-CV-00113-SOM-WRP LUC docket number A87-617 DW Inalea Development LLC.
Are there any, Ariana, are there any members of the public who wish to provide testimony or have provided written testimony in this matter?
None in the room and seeing none in the Q&A.
Have there been any written testimony in this matter, on this matter?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, is it I'd like to ask to get I'd like to get a motion to enter executive session to allow the LUC staff to remain in the room for the legal update presentation.
So
Chair,
moved.
this is Squeaky. Oh,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry.
Chair, this is Squeaky. I move that we go into executive session.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Commissioner Koike and seconded by Commissioner Smith. All those in favor, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Oh, we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8 is it? 8?
Eight.
8. Okay. And ayes. At this point in time, we'll move into executive session. Everybody present? We're back in executive. We're back from a regular session, from executive session, and executive session considered with was for the purposes and dealt with, and where we consulted with our attorney, the commission's attorneys regarding the commission's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, liabilities pertaining to civil number 117-CV-00113-SOM-WRP LUC docket number 80A87-617 DW Inalea Development LLC. And in our executive session, we discussed the status of the litigation, the various opportunities afforded in that litigation, and the various motions that have been filed prior to that, prior to this matter being appealed from. That's sufficient, Mr. Morris?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, point to here is that I'm to ask if there is any additional public witnesses that have been present or requesting to be heard in this matter. Is there any, Ariana?
No, Mr. Chair.
Seeing that there is no additional testimony and that we have completed our agenda items, do I need to ask for, this concludes our meeting. Is there any further business or any further discussion in this matter? Thank you. Thank you for making my first meeting that I chaired so smoothly and wonderful. I declare this meeting adjourned.